Audio check. Audio check. Alright, looks like everything's working. Alright, good evening everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, and tonight I'm going to be streaming some Red, White, Death, and Taxes. I forgot to post that I'm starting my streams in the usual places, so I'm going to take 30 seconds to do that now. Sorry about the awkward pause, but I suppose that'll give you some time to get in here if you just got the Twitch alert. I started a couple of minutes early because someone wants to borrow a couple of my cards to play through a league, and so I want to wrap up a little bit earlier than I normally do. Okay, that'll about cover the normal places. Get rid of that. Okay. Evening, Vile Offspring. Nice to have you here. Forgot to post that you started the stream? It never happened then. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of one of those, if a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, did it actually make a noise? Sort of like that. If I stream but I don't post about it, did I actually stream? Who knows? Hey, Moxel. Welcome back. Wow. 3 Vryn Mingmer and 4 Thalia. Yeah, so Marduk, I really like to tax people out, and so when you have all these Thalias and these Wingmares and these Maguses, it does just nasty, nasty things to my opponent's mana. They just don't get to play Magic a lot of times. And once they're not playing Magic, I can go ahead and just drop, like, Pia and Kiran Nalaar and just completely and utterly wreck people. So I'm pretty excited about that. This has been working really well for me. So it was Monday when we double streamed. I think it was Monday. So we did 2 streams. We got a 5-0. Let's see. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we got a 5-0 versus Grixis Delver, Pox, Check Pile, Grixis Delver. And then I did a 3-2 with wins against Check Pile, Goblins, and Grixis Control, and losses to Oops All Spells and D&T. You know, we're never beating Oops All Spells, so, like, that's fine. The Grixis Control matchup happened happened today off stream. I just wanted to, like, get it in real quick before I started so I can start a fresh league for this video. It was a really interesting game because I drew 13 lands, but because my opponent played around Magus of the Moon by fetching Island, Island, Swamp in the early turns of the game, they never got red mana to actually cast their spells, and when they did, I wastelanded them off them. So I had double port, and I ported them off of both of their black mana sources for the rest of the game. So they just, like, held up Island, Island for, like, 10 turns while I poked them to death. It was great. I wonder how good Thalia Heretic Cathar is in red-white. Admittedly, haven't tried it. Well, here's the thing about Thalia Heretic Cathar. It's really, really good on turns 1 and 2, but that's something that this deck can't do. When you have, like, a Soldier Stompy deck or a White Eldrazi deck that can power it out super, super quickly, it's an amazing card, and it just, like, devastates people. Like, fetch land coming into play tapped, having to fetch a land that comes into play tapped as well, is just disgusting. But when you play it on turn 3, or you play it off of turn 4 off of Vial, a lot of its impact is already dampened if your opponent has been making some land drops. So I'm not a huge fan of Thalia Heretic Cathar, generally speaking. I've tested it a few times, but it didn't work out. Basic Plains, I refuse to count your match win against Big Eldrazi. Both teams played hard. Both teams played hard in that match. For anyone who wasn't here last stream, what happened was that my opponent was 0-4 and was streaming, and so just to be a good person, they popped into the queue and immediately snap conceded to just give someone a free win. And, you know, that was my first match of the night, so, you know, technically in our 5-0, we went 4-0 and got a bye. That's really what happened. So before I get started here, I want to show you all the preview of what I'm looking at playing tomorrow night. I took a vote, and what the people wanted to see was a D&T deck list with a shit ton of singletons. So I delivered. So we have a singleton, Spirit of the Labyrinth, Sarah Avenger, Aven Mind Sensor, Brimaz, Mangara, Mirren Crusader, and Sanctum Prelate. And I think that should make for a pretty fun stream. We have a lot of variety and a lot of different cards that I don't normally play. Needs more Mana Tithe. Everyone has been just telling me to play Mana Tithe. I should just like put in a one of Judge's Familiar just to like placate all of you. Because hooting people is fun. Maybe I should do that. Like maybe a Judge's Familiar might slip its way in here over one of the other, you know, reasonable cards. That would be fine. That might be fun. But like I don't want to actually play like legit Mana Tithe just to like try to get people. Fun as it is, it's real bad when you're playing Thalia and tapping out for a lot of spells. More snow-covered plains. That is a good point. Did I buy snow-covered plains yet? I forget if I did. I think I did. Oh, is that dashed, snow dashed covered? Probably is. Yeah, how many of these do I have? I have 5 of these. Alright. Good. Thank you for that catch, Will. I do appreciate that. That was a good point. I forgot about that. I just copy and pasted one of my old deck lists and didn't differentiate it. So for anyone not familiar with like why I'm doing that, when your opponent is playing Predict and they blind name planes, that gives like 9 or 10 different hits, but planes and snow-covered planes have different names despite having identical functionality, so it is just pretty much strictly better to run a split of them. I'm still disappointed in Plains choice on you. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So in real life, I run the old Lightning Plains most of the time. That's one of my favorite. That's what I think top tier Plains is. I was very happy with that one. Oh, and also because of popular request, we're gonna run a split of Elspeth and Gideon in the sideboard because people seem to really enjoy Gideon. Malamujo just like wrecked me with an Elspeth the other night. So, like, despite the fact that I think Gideon is better most of the time, I want to try the Elspeth out, and especially if like we're gonna have a fun stream where, you know, I am perhaps not optimizing my chances of winning. Having the Elspeth in the deck there seems like fine. So again, the bonus stream tomorrow night is because of all of you, and I really do appreciate your support. You know, where that was for hitting 350 followers, and I'm looking forward to having a lot more fun with you all in the future. And let's see if we can. No, we're not running Singleton D&T tonight. That's tomorrow night. All right, folks, let's get in here. If we get a 5-0 tonight, we make it up onto the leaderboard here. So that'd be nice. I'm at a severe disadvantage making it up to here, because about half the time I'm working with Magic stuff, I'm not actually playing, I'm messing around with the website instead of like just jamming games. So like all these regulars that just like play and play and play when they get home every night, they get a good lead on me, and like I'm probably never getting up to this many trophies. You know, Lewis says he plays like 2 leagues a day on average or something like that. All right, playing against Swingzilla. I don't have any data on them, so I'm just going to keep a reasonable hand. I don't want to lead on my Windswept Heath to pretend to be a different deck here, because it's very likely that I'm going to want to use this Windswept Heath to go and fetch red mana for P&K purposes. So I don't just want to like lead on that and fetch a plateau and open myself up to like being wastelanded off a red source that actually matters. Alright, opponent did not shuffle. Don't mind drawing extra Thalias. Thalia's great. I love Thalia. Praise be. My opponent could be any number of decks right now. I don't have enough data to see. Looking more and more like miracles, though. Looking more and more like miracles, though. Feel like it's miracles. Well, we're just gonna throw Thalias at my opponent until they die, apparently. That seems like a fine plan. I am not just going to ram the P and K into a terminus. I would really like to have that as a post-terminus play. Predict, targeting themselves. Predict away. So does this stream have usual scheduled times, or is it kind of random? If scheduled, what are the times? Approximately Monday and Wednesday at about 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Moxall, thank you very much. Sometimes I deviate from that just a little bit, but that is the plan. You know, I am an individual with a life, so you know, sometimes life gets in the way and changes that, but that is the plan. The bonus stream is what's in addition to my normal stream times, and I'm doing that because I hit a great follower threshold, and I'm very happy about that. But Thalia is life, Phil. I mean, yeah. Thalia is life. Thalia is Bay. Thalia is love. Praise be. Alright. My opponent gets to Portent. We'll see if they'll just, like, wreck me by getting a Terminus. But it's not even that wrecked, because, like, I get to follow up with some sweet stuff. Oh, not Terminus. Not Terminus is great for me, and the opponent scoops it up. Alright, game 1 result, win. So I'm going to attribute that win to Thalia and my opponent's poor draw. It was kind of clear that my opponent kept a hand that like was not working out in this specific matchup. So we're gonna board into a grindier deck with Recruiter and more copies of P and K, and we'll board in Cataclysm because blowing up all of Miracle's lands is pretty sweet, and this Crusader might come in just as a generic beater. We'll board out Magus of the Moon. It doesn't have a ton of utility here. Yeah, my opponent looked at a bunch of cards, but none of them were the right cards for the situation they were in at any given time. It's very possible that like they just drew the wrong half of their deck that game. And that's something that can happen with Miracles. I don't know like how much time any of you have spent actually playing Miracles, but like Miracles has this fair portion. Miracles has this fair portion of the deck that like takes out decks like mine, like Terminus, Swords to Plowshares, Snapcaster Mage for Swords to Plowshares again. And then it has like the unfair portion of the deck that can have things like, you know, extra counter spells, counterbalance, and stuff of that nature. And sometimes like you draw the wrong parts at the wrong time before you start cantripping and smooth everything out, and like you're just too far behind. That might have been what happened that game. I'm always lukewarm on Revoker here. Yeah, Revoker is not great most of the time. Like, it's really good against cards named Jace the Mind Sculptor, and really bad against the rest of the deck. But Jace is so good that, like, I think I have to respect it. And, like, I'm going to keep A Swords to Plowshares in. It's not a great card in this matchup, but, like, occasionally it hits a Mentor or something stupid like an Izzet Staticaster or a Containment Priest, and it's fine. Leonin Relic Warder is medium in this matchup. Like, if my opponent shows me something that makes me want to bring it in, I will. You like Canonist? Canonist is fine. So this hand doesn't do anything early, and since my opponent is going to be fetching basics, this probably needs to go back, even though it has Vile, the best card in the matchup. This is a weak hand. But it has all the mana to cast P and K and the ability to bounce it, so I'll keep it, and I'll just hope that we draw early action. That is not early action. Shows off some Brainstorm and Determinus outs and Snapcaster, and Mentor is not as dangerous with it out. Yeah, that's fair. Immediately punished by bottoming the Wasteland when my opponent leads on Tundra. Ugh. Alright. This one's gonna be tough. Agate, were you the one who took down the last Legacy Challenge, or like top 8'd the Legacy Challenge, something like that? I thought that was you. You like boarding out a land on the draw with 24. That's reasonable. Like that's a decent suggestion. Let's just see if my opponent has Stone Cold Nothing. I assume that like a Brainstorm sets us up and counters this Vile. If it doesn't, we can play a very, very patient game. Yeah, didn't even need to. Okay. I'm gonna wait to play P and K until I can have Caracas up to protect it. Does my opponent not realize that Flicker Wisp is uncounterable right now? I really hope they reveal a 3-drop. Sorry, I kind of trailed off while I was thinking. You know, congrats, Agate. I haven't played in, like literally none of the Legacy challenges. Most of my social life tends to happen on the weekend, just kind of due to how my schedule lines up with my friends' schedules. So, like, most of the time I don't want to sit down on a Sunday afternoon and commit my whole day to it. I'd rather be out doing other things with my friends. Have you heard the saying, "Here is the thing, I'm stacked AF"? Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with both parts of that. Like, I'm not used to hearing that all stacked together as one phrase, but, like, I understand what all the pieces mean. Looks like the chat's doing a good job at teaching you about the ways of the world via trolling, so I'll just leave them to do their thing. Looks like they've got it covered. So the serious answer is, like, the first half of that, "here's the thing," is just a phrase that essentially just means nothing. It's just something that people use when they're starting to think or start off some quote. And then the I'm stacked AF, you know, stacked in a non-magic context usually refers to, you know, being strong, as in swole. Alright, let's send this all at Jace here and see what happens. Terminus, probably. Alright, we'll try to bounce P and K. P and K will probably get swords with my luck. Oh no, it didn't. Well, that's great. No, I don't think I want to chuck a Thopter at Jace there. I want to either redeploy P and K with new Caracas backup or cast Vile and then cast P and K and don't protect it. I don't actually think my opponent has a Swords to Plowshares, given that they didn't remove it, but that doesn't mean they won't find one next turn, though. Alright, great. We resolved a Vile. We'll go ahead and play patiently here. And just play a lot of uncounterable stuff. Dude was two small people on top of each other and felt the need to inform you. What is this Snapcaster Mage doing? Portent? Or no, I'm just scrolled up. Ponder. It seems like a very aggressive use of a Snapcaster Mage. Opponent did not shuffle, they drew a card. I'm probably going to sandbag this Wasteland for a turn to hit the search for Azcanta. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 P and K, holding up Caracas and not port. Or if I play the Waste, I can port. But I don't think I want to play the Waste. Looks like my opponent's just content to brainstorm away here. It's gonna be something annoying like a Gideon. That would suck. Supreme Verdict. Okay. Everything's fine. My opponent is now only going to get one card out of this search for Azcanta activation at some point. So I kind of just want to Wasteland the Tundra. Like, this is never going anywhere. But maybe I just need this for other reasons. Like, Wastelanding his Tundra probably doesn't do a lot. Sans, like, Entreat the Angel reasons. Yeah. Just gotta think for a second. I hate that, like, all these Miracles decks are going to back the basics. Are going to back the basics because it's really, really good against the red-white version, whereas it's basically dead against the mono-white version. Yeah, opponent now just needs to, like, find a way to kill us, and we're in pretty bad shape. Alright, there's a Mentor. We can maybe take care of that, though. Got a plan. Yes, Luke, Luxac, that is exactly what we're doing. Basic land city, indeed. And then we'll violin our PNK, shoot the Monastery Mentor to kill it, assuming he doesn't have another instant to cast. Or we can just rip Jete, too. So I can go cast Jete, assuming it resolves. I can equip on Flicker Wisp, try to attack in, make my opponent cast something to deal with one of these. In response, vial in some idiot and huck a Thopter at Monastery Mentor to kill it. That all sounds awesome. So our comment section on ThrabenU University. I really enjoyed the Travis Brown write-up. No, there is not. I usually post on Reddit, and so there tends to be a discussion there about it. Otherwise, if you have any comments you want to share with me or Travis, you can send them my way. All right. Now the stack gets ugly and complicated. Drag the stack out of the way here. We'll activate P and K. Target the mentor. Hey, red 1, 1. Sack an artifact. And deal with that problem. Gross. Yeah, this is probably the point here that we don't come back from. Because my opponent now gets to swords the P and K, and then I'm left with, like, literal nothing, a bunch of lands that don't untap, and just, like, a naked Jitte. But we're going to play out because, like, we can just draw a Cataclysm and wreck face pretty easily. Yeah, Vile Offspring, I agree. Like, one of the reasons why I don't just have, like, a bunch of active comments up on my articles on my website is, like, I just want people to read the articles there, you know? Like, the website itself is a one-directional site. It's information from, you know, me to you. And then, like, I have so many other outlets where you can talk to me and interact with me. On the off chance that this is relevant, I'm going to play that out to protect the P and K. Hey Phil, I came to root for D&T, but I'm biased towards the opponent. Yeah, I'm pretty sure our opponent is winning here. I'll take a draw step or two, but we're pretty dead here. Username checks out. Good point, good point. Yeah, sorry I don't have anything interesting to say here, but, like, this is just Miracles having it all right now, so, like, there's not a lot to say. Like, I am just dying. Probably as soon as next turn, in all honesty. I can try to delay by, like, bouncing P and K, redeploying P and K, and, like, generating 4 bodies that can block, but that's probably just not enough. And, like, I'm not going to have an out of, like, drawing a Flicker Wisp to flicker stuff out just because I'm not going to have time. EE on 1 to get both of the vials. Okay, alright. That's enough. Well, I guess I could draw Cataclysm this exact turn. Alright, no, I can't even cast it. Like, that's not now. Alright, we're done. Alright. So what do I want to change here? Now that my opponent has showed me engineered explosives and the back to basics, I'm going to go ahead and board in the relic warder. Oh, we're straight dead to their board in 3 turns. Like that's not realistic to think we're going to live that long. So Egget says that he likes Canonist here. So I could trim a Swords to Plowshares for a Canonist. And then just like not play the rando Mirran Crusader I boarded in just as an aggressive card and just like board in a second Canonist. Or wait, no, that's 61 then, because I brought in the Relic Warder too. So maybe just 1 Canonist. I have a little bit less fat than normal in my deck since I have these triple Vryn Wingmares that like normally would be other things that might be boarded out in this matchup. This is not great. I'm going to keep it. We're going to need action off the top. Alright, let's move the stack back from the middle of nowhere. I'm just going to value deploying both of my vials now rather than getting aggressive with the Stoneforge. My opponent showed me that they want to keep counterbalance in post-board, like so. So just playing around that to the best of my ability is probably pretty darn good. Oh, you went 4-0 with the Daredevil list? Nice. I'm not super sold on the Daredevil. It's really fun. It's super interesting. I'm not 100% that its consistency is such that I want to keep it around. I'm gonna do something neat here. I'm gonna do a Containment Priest check. The answer is no. And then I'll actually put in the thing that I care about. Hey Starstreak, what's going on with Battlezone? I saw an interesting Facebook post that looked like they were selling off everything. Are they moving? Are they closing? I know things have been interesting there. If you don't want to talk about it on stream, just say so, and I'll ask you later. Okay, yeah. So I thought they had closed, but then I just saw the post, which made me second guess myself. So that's just them finally offing their inventory, I guess. What the fuck? God damn it. I, too, question OP's sideboard plan. Yes. Well, good thing we have all these lands. So I guess I'll pay for my Vial on 2 to keep the flexibility. And then for, like, what I draw with the Sword of Fire and Ice. No. No, I just, like, need to let these vials go. No, I'll pay for 1 vial. Pay for... God damn it. This is some shit. Like, how is this good? I am upset. So I guess I pay for sword, equip sword, and try to, like, bash in and get there and give up these vials. Feels fucking terrible. Yep. Alright. So it's not like we have anything to do with the vials right now, I guess. No, so I guess tap those for it. My opponent will probably, like, follow up with back to basics and just, like, tilt me into oblivion. Hopefully my opponent has a lot of other bad cards in their deck, like Energy Flux, and we can just get a win that way. Like, really, why on earth is Energy Flux in their deck? God, it... At least I'm prophetic, and I know how to call it. So, like, the good news is we have... God, tilt. What am I doing? How do I, like, possibly win this game now? I can save the sword by tapping, like, Plateau Wasteland. Play a Wasteland, cast a Flicker Wisp a land to untap it, and then if my opponent doesn't have a removal spell, that does it? Or a counter spell, or something on top with counterbalance, or just, like, fucking anything. But, like, I guess that's a line, like, Flicker Wisp plus sword is 7 damage. That vial is really good, but I think we're gonna go for the, like, win right now plan. Came here for Moon Man, instead got some blue enchantment deck. Fucking Terminus! Ah! Let's draw the Cataclysm. We can't. Did my opponent just mill that Terminus? Because if so, that's real bad for me, because that means, like, they just have something that beats this for less mana. Alright. We should just be stone cold dead now. Alright. Well, the opponent isn't killing us quickly, so there's that. I probably just have to drop my sword now. Which sucks. Alright, we drew the Cataclysm we can never possibly cast. So that's a mixed blessing. So the good news is that if I get to cast this Cataclysm, I get 3 of their 4 enchantments. Oh yeah, 100% in Frown Town at this point. I'm assuming OP can't afford Null Rod. Yeah, Fizzler, we're super boned. So if my opponent plays a cantrip, they have 4, 5, 6, 7 damage, putting me to 5. If I just recruit her for, like, something, it probably doesn't matter. So I kind of want to just, like, play this land, hope to draw another land, Cataclysm, and then hope opponent has literal nothing. I think that's a better line than playing out a Recruiter, because I don't think Recruiter does enough to, like, actually just win me the game. Because I have to Recruiter for some 2-mana card, so, like, the best I can do is, like, Recruiter for Athalia. I don't think that's winning. Energy Flux is 3 cents, Null Rod is 19 cents. Budgetary for sure. Alright, we missed there. So if I just take 4, I go to 4, assuming opponent doesn't have any spells. Like, again, I think I'm sort of in the position where, like, playing any one of these 3-drops doesn't do enough to actually win me the game. You know, like, if my opponent has anything, I just lose. So I wonder if it's still just, like, Cataclysm on the next turn. My opponent has a spell, I just die. But, like, what does any one of these accomplish? Probably nothing. Think you need a recruiter, you have to draw a land, Thalia here. Sorry, do I just recruiter, plan on chump blocking, deploy Thalia, intend to have the Thalia die, then Cataclysm after land? It's all terrible. Yeah, alright. Oh, there's just a Swords to Plowshares on top. Great. So that just does it, right? Swords puts me to 9. That boosts that to 4, 5, 6, 7 power, and then with any other spell I die. Okay, sure. Just end me. Just end me. We're just going to write this one down as a loss. Alright, fine, opponent. You win. You and your damn energy flux. Alright. That was annoying. I'm gonna take a second to just, like, untilt myself. Energy Flux is not a reasonable card to have in your deck in Legacy at all. There's no reason you should be playing that. Like, there are pretty much just, like, strictly better options in things like Null Rod. And Energy Flux is such a narrow card in the first place, in the current metagame. Like, it hits D&T, and I guess it hits that new Shops deck that has been running around that is essentially like Affinity Aggro. Yes, Fizzler. That's what I said. Basically irrelevant in the metagame is Steel Stompy. So, like, as far as tier 1 stuff goes, it hits D&T, and, like, I guess it has some splash damage against Eldrazi, because, like, you can make them pay for, like, Chalice and stuff. But, like, if that is your best plan, you're just getting run over by, like, all the fat idiots anyway. So I think that's bad. Alright, I'm just gonna stretch and shake off that loss. Yeah, Fizzler, you're not hitting LED and Lotus Petal with an Energy Flux. That is not happening. And looks amazing. We're gonna keep this one. Well, _2_x period. Take 2, opponent playing same 75. Phil just tilts off and never streams again. Force, pitch, brainstorm. Opponent can still be a lot of decks, but so since I want to just like slam this Magus on the next turn, I probably just want to play this Jete and see if that can get a counterspell of some nature. No, I guess that doesn't make sense because a Magus is going to be uncounterable. But I don't know that porting is going to be good. So I guess their turn was just Volcanic Island Pass. They could just be a combo deck, in which case I'll really want to port them, so I'll port them. Oh man, we getting raided. I don't even know what that means. It's like an attack, right? And like they just spam our chat with shit. We getting kapowed. It's all over, chat. We're done. Is this worse than Energy Flux? I don't think it's worse than Energy Flux, but... Yes, that's fair. If we could have played around Energy Flux last game, that would have been great. As much as I hate your deck, I do love me some Legacy streams. El Jefe Cubano, thank you for stopping in and raiding and making things interesting today. I do appreciate that. I know this walks into like a Snapcaster Mage. I'm fine with that. Can you double queue? I don't think you can double queue, but I don't know for sure that you can't. Seems like my opponent's on check pile. My opponent only has 2 lands in play. They missed a land drop. I think I just want to like get the next Magus. That could be miracles. If that just, like, drew the random volcanic island there. Okay. You got it, boss. Random jank with energy flux main deck? Maybe this is that, like, that pile that, what's the name, Aisukawa always plays? Yeah, thank you. That was the guy I was thinking of. Aisaka, thank you, sorry. Somebody gifted me a subscription to his stream a little while ago. I've hosted his stream a handful of times. It's usually entertaining. Although I think he's switched to playing Delver for a little while, rather than like the whole like Stoneforge Mystic Spellstarter Sprite pile. Let's see if we run this Jitte into Spellstarter Sprite number 2. We do! So I'm gonna Flicker with my Recruiter, get a Stoneforge. Stoneforge gets Sword of Fire and Ice. And that should deal with all these annoying blue idiots. Ooh, Force of Will. The Spell Queller's in there too! It's just an adventure over there on the other side of the table. So is this just like Wizard Tribal? Is this a wizard? No, it's just a spirit. Oh, great. Yeah, we're probably just losing to this jank pile. Like, that's probably what's happening. Alright, that Jitte is a great draw. Or, excuse me, that Flicker Wisp is a great draw. It's Blade with no Jace or TNN and Spell Starters and extra clicks. Yeah, so, like, to play around Click, I'm just going to blink the Jitte right now, I think. This is slightly less value, but is safer. Like, I'm just going to assume that my opponent is on, like, borderline literal infinite flash creatures in their deck. I kind of want to just suit up the Flicker Wisp and make a Death Machine. That way I'll have a flyer that can wall an opposing like creature attacking in with Jitte effectively. I think that is my line. But I'm not 100% sure what sort of weird shenanigans I need to play around. Five, 7/5 Vigilant Lifelink Flyer seems good in Legacy. Yeah, I think so. Not gonna attack in with the Magus. Again, we might just like walk into a click or something like that. And I kind of like having this Magus around. I don't know how much work it is doing, but I am guessing that the answer is some amount. Opponent could even have Vapor Snag. Sure, yeah, like that's what I mean. Yeah. Alright. So if I attack in, my opponent blocks, I get 2 Jitte counters, which effectively gains them 4 life. It may be more prudent for me to just like wait and try to draw a Swords to Plowshares or a Flicker Wisp or a Pia and Kirin Nalar in order to close out this game. If I attack in with all of my creatures instead, then my opponent chumps the Flicker Wisp and takes 3 probably, going to 1, but effectively at 5 life. This is a really odd spot. So if my opponent gets Jitte counters, they can buff their own creature to 5 toughness, which means that it would beat a Flicker Wisp in combat, and then they would have 2 Jitte counters left over, and I couldn't actually move this Batterskull anywhere else. That's not good. I'm on a slippery slope here. I think no attack is right. And then, like, I'll deploy this Thalia. Actually, the Thalia having first strike is pretty sweet. I can't play Thalia and equip, but I can threaten it, which might be good enough. So now on my next turn, if my opponent doesn't attack in on their turn, I just equip this to Thalia, and like then I have a first striking wall. Or not wall, like first striking attacker, which seems great. And my opponent scoops to that. Okay, that was a perilous game. So I'm gonna call my opponent's deck Blue White Red Flash because I don't really know what else to call it. Yeah, it's not like traditional Stoneblade though. I guess we can call it blue-white-red Stoneblade. Like I already knew that he was blue-white-red because of the spell queller he pitched to force. So now I have to decide how I want to approach this matchup. Against the controlling portion of the deck, things like P and K are going to be really good. But like, since I haven't played this match, like this exact matchup with these Spellstarter sprites at all, I don't know, like, how to evaluate cards like Swords to Path to, and like Swords and Path to Exile. Recruiter's probably good. Probably not do P and K. I'll bring in the Relic Order for sure. Watch out for the sideboard Deceiver Exarch into Splinter Twin. So I'm I'm 100% unsure how to board. It doesn't happen a lot. Like, the white in their deck is probably just for Stoneforge, so maybe, like, that's not enough for Magus to win. So maybe I'm not supposed to do that and, like, have some heavy hitter endgame stuff. Agate, thank you very much for subscribing. I really appreciate that. I look forward to having you around so that I can pick your brains from time to time. I know you've been playing a build pretty different from my own current build. You think this opponent has Energy Flux too? Got him. Skillfully navigated this game so far. Trust your feelings, Luke. Yes, easy game when you draw perfects. No worries, however, it's 2 a.m. here in Sweden, and I have work tomorrow. Alright, night, Agate. Thank you very much for subscribing, and I'm sure I'll catch you again sometime. Remember, you can always hit the videos on YouTube if they don't work so well for your schedule there. So this is kind of a weird spot right here. I want to wasteland my opponent, but I'm kind of worried about Vendilion Click. So if I wasteland my opponent and they click me in response, then I expose Stoneforge to click, which is super awkward. But at the same time, if I just cast Stoneforge before I wasteland, then my opponent could Spell Queller the Stoneforge. Neat situation. Agate, I need that deck list if it doesn't get published. I need that for reasons. I'm excited to see that, Agate. That's cool. Alright. We're gonna get the protection from most of their decks. Sword. I'm not confident enough that the Stoneforge is going to make it around the table again to go and get a Batterskull. So someone asked, what made you pick red for your splash color? Magus of the Moon is awesome. Ooh, does Spell Queller not counter, but just like exile the spell? Does this still get Spell Quellered through Cavern? Because if so, that's neat. Exile target spell with CMC 4 or less. Okay, yeah, it does. Super unfortunate. Sorry, to go back to that question, Magus of the Moon is really, really good against greedy Legacy decks. It just trashes their mana bases. Alright, so we have a board of Jace, Spell Queller, and I have this cat here. So I've got that going for me. Well, this is going to be a good turn. And to finish that thought before I get distracted again, PN Kieran Nalaar is awesome against control decks. Please don't have Force blue card. Alright. I have a lot of lines I can take here. I'm just going to take the one that shuts off Jace absolutely right now. And then we'll just finish off the Jace on my next turn. Lingmeister, was there a previous part of that conversation? I see you say, even with DFD, then Phil, why don't you like DFD? What was the first half of that? So my opponent knows I had this, so presumably they have another fucking Spell Queller. Alright. So I guess I was supposed to just, like, bring in more removal for this matchup. I guess since it, like, stops the things that are wielding Jitte and also gets the Spell Quellers off the board to return my relevant stuff, it matters a lot. Yeah, Fizzler, if you remind me in between rounds, I can show you the list that I'm looking at for tomorrow. Alright. But at the same time, they have all of these removals that would make something like P and K be really, really good. So maybe I'm not at all sure how to sideboard still. So I can run this into another potential card. Is Spell Queller 4 or less? Jesus, Spell Queller can get P and K too, but P and K is immune to all of the bullshit. This isn't fair. P and K is supposed to beat the bullshit. Yes, I agree. You're just gonna like stifle my P and K Thopter activation thingy, or just like remove the P and K right now? I have no idea. Anything could happen over there. Alright, so Snapcaster Bolt, P and K. Sure. And like similarly, Cataclysm is really good against the Jace side of this equation, but not good against just like dropping a bunch of early flyers and trying to tempo me out. Oh, great. This just seems like a night where I am going to lose to a lot of bad decks and bad cards. SoFi is supposed to kill blue decks, not help them. It was the chosen one. I like that. That was cute. I enjoyed that. Wish I had a better whiny Anakin voice for you. So let's do that this way, I think. Alright, so, what do? I can Relic Order the sword, But that doesn't really work well with, like, Jace bounce as an option. Although, I guess if my opponent Jace bounces, then their Jace is gone. So that's fine. Unfortunately, I can't both Flicker Wisp and Relic Warder this turn. No, do I get to, like, do that without cost? Okay, I don't have to pay for it. So I can Flicker Queller, get Sword, equip Sword. If my opponent doesn't have a removal spell, I'm in great shape. But if my opponent has a removal spell, I get absolutely destroyed. Because they remove this, and then I have to, like, chump with my Flicker Wisp, and I probably never get back in the game. But I guess the upside is really, really high if they don't have anything. Ask me that modern question again in a minute. Complicated spot. I guess that's a play with a high enough upside that I should just, like, go for it. My opponent will probably just have, like, a Spell Queller here and make me cry. Nope. Can still get absolutely blown out by Swords to Plowshares or, like, a Disenchant or something of that nature. So it is better value to attack them directly and kill Jace with the ping, but if they have, like, a Disenchant effect, then it's better to just attack Jace, so I'm going to attack Jace. And potentially give up some value. Oh, it just worked. Okay. So someone who asked about, is there anything like this that's good in Modern? The short answer is no. Modern is such a fast, proactive format that a slow, controlling-ish deck like Legacy, Death, and Taxes doesn't exactly thrive there. You're missing out on a lot of the, like, really powerful cards that can go and just put the deck over the edge. Like, you don't have Mother of Runes, you don't have Stoneforge Mystic, you don't have Umezawa's Jitte. And so the modern version of the deck ends up being more of this, like, value-oriented, mid-range deck that sometimes gets to play a land disruption role, but more often than not, you're just, like, blinking Blade Splicers and stuff. So I don't think there's any shell like this that quite works in Modern. Okay, so is mono white or blue white in D&T Legacy not the best option? Mono white and red white are really the only viable splash builds in Legacy D&T right now. You can try other things, but like those are the things that are proven right now. I'm just going to play around a Spell Queller here by tapping this down. End of combat. Oh, so yeah, okay, yeah. So let me talk about the Modern Humans deck. The Modern Humans deck is doing the right sort of things that you need to be doing in Modern in order to survive. Like, it has different early interaction with things like Kite Sail Freebooter and, like, Meddling Mage, and, like, then you have Thalia too. Whereas, like, the Death and Taxes deck seeks to, like, slow down the game to a halt with things like Wasteland and Rishadenport in Legacy and, like, Thalia and Mother of Runes. The Modern deck plays a couple of disruptive cards and makes them really, really big afterwards. And in order to do that, you need to, like, be on a 5-color mana base, and, like, it somehow makes it work. If you want to try something, like, somewhat akin to Legacy Death and Taxes in Modern, you should look into, like, the Eldrazi and Taxes decks, or the like, white-green Restoration Angel, like, Eldrazi Displacer deck. Or not, like, it plays like Eldrazi Displacer, Restoration Angel, and Flicker Wisp to just blink annoying things a million times. We are going to go Voltron on the Recruiter here, so that I just make it really big and answerable only by, like, a Swords to Plowshares. And I don't want to incentivize my opponent to take this Relic Order off the table by, like, putting a piece of equipment on it. I want them to have to choose between Swords to Plowshares on this or Swords to Plowshares on this. Alright. Where gets the Sword of Fire and Ice, but the Batter Skulls is still a problem. I'm gonna go ahead and hold this Cavern for another turn or two. I might need to make something uncounterable. Alright, and they'll take my... Actually, they might just leave my Vryn Wingmare, in all honesty. Oh no, they took it. And gave me a card that I would much rather have, so I'm stoked about that. I don't know what this Recruiter is getting yet. It might just be like a Flicker Wisp or something. Where targeting the Batter Skull? That's unfortunate. I could have played around that by like playing out another land prior to that. Okay. It can probably just be like Pia and Kiran Nalar, and I can threaten to double shoot them. Or it can just be Mother of Runes to push the last damage and protect my stuff. It can be a Stoneforge to get a Jitte, which would probably be unbeatable. I can just, like, get a second Recruiter, and then Recruiter for a PNK. Or I can just get Flicker Wisp and get the rebuy and force my opponent to chump block, which I kind of like. Yeah, this is why Recruiter is nuts. Like, in addition to just being selection, it is also card advantage in a can. So I think I'll go ahead and get a PNK with this one. And then on my next turn, I can just like attack in with everything, cast PNK, shoot in some variety or order. Why does red-white taxes seem a lot harder to pilot in paper? I don't know. I'm not talking you through everything, so that certainly doesn't help. I kind of just want to pass the turn and shoot my opponent twice. That might not be unreasonable. I don't think I'm in danger of dying to anything, and like that won't expose recruiters to any shenanigans. Wish I had more time to think. I'll go ahead and attack in with the Flicker Wisp. Garrett, ask me your question again in just a minute. I'm going to focus on my game because my clock is low. But I saw that you said first time here's something. Oh, geez, is it Staticaster? Is a beating. So I guess I'll shoot my opponent to 2. They'll kill Thopter so I can't ping, and they'll kill the Flicker Wisp. Well, that's bad. Yeah, Blowout City incoming is correct. So my opponent taps the Staticaster now to kill Flicker Wisp, taps it on their turn to kill Thopter. But then I am still presenting lethal with just the bodies I have coming in, so they're going to need more than just that. That's super unfortunate. So now they hit double Recruiter here, hit Thopter on their turn, and then I only have 2 bodies. I'll still beat them with any top-decked artifact. Or a Caracas would be just fine as well. Because I have enough mana to, like, bounce with Caracas, replay P and K uncounterably, and still have mana to fling. God damn it. That was, like, the literal best draw my opponent possibly could have had. That's very frustrating. There was no manipulation there for any of that stuff. I'm going to play out some stuff in the hopes of going wide and, like, making my opponent blow Jitte counters, but this is probably over. The only way it's not over is if my opponent just, like, bungles their turns. Yeah, I foresaw that happening. Holding up P and K activation was potentially a game-winning line. I don't know that that's actually true. So I can top deck the second... Oh no, I can't top deck the second P and K. It's in my graveyard already. So that doesn't get me out of this. It doesn't do it either. Oh shoot, there's another game. Alright, so we're on the draw there, and we lost. Game 2, opponent top decks. Is it static caster into Jitte? I'm going to board in a shit ton of removal for those idiots. And I probably don't have time to play a P and K game with the amount of clock that I have. So I probably just need to, like, board those out for clock concerns and just, like, try to stay low to the ground, win the game quickly with equipment. I don't even have the chat open right now, FYI. I'm not looking at it at all. I'll field any questions or comments later. All right. We lost to the clock there. Unclear whether or not we actually had enough gas to get anywhere that game if the game went on longer. So it goes. If I was paying more attention to what was going on in game 2 and like I didn't talk to the chat as much, like we might have won that one. But like so be it. That happens sometimes when you're streaming. Fizzler, you want to see the toolbox list that we're playing tomorrow night? I'll just flash it briefly. So tomorrow night's list is going to feature one of Sarah Avenger, Spirit of the Labyrinth, Aven Mind Sensor, Brimaz, King of Oreskos, Mangara, Mirren Crusader, and Sanctum Prelate, as well as an Elspeth in the board, just for kind of giggles. Someone else asked a question. I feel like your name was like Garrett or something like that. You asked a question that I missed. If you want to go ahead and ask that now, I can go ahead and field that while people take a look at this list for a minute. Yeah, Bosk, I'm not 100% sure if we would have won that one tomorrow. Or, excuse me, I'm not sure if we would have won that last game based on, like, the game naturally progressing the way that it would have. Like, our hand was okay. Our opponent was low on resources, so, like, we probably would have. That loss is on me. And it's fine. Like, there's no way I would have played around, like, my opponent having Izzet Staticaster and an additional blocker and drawing Jitte off of the top. Like, that was, like, the exact perfect storm of, like, exact 3 cards they needed to win that game. Because, like, otherwise I still present lethal, despite them having any 2 of those 3 cards. I want to see if I can find that random question that someone asked me before. Oh, first time here. Do you like red-white better than mono-white right now, or you're just experimenting? I've been playing red-white for quite some time. I think it is, at this exact point in time, a better choice than the mono-white build, just because of, like, how many percentage points you gain against decks like Check Pile by having P and K in your deck. Like, as you all saw, it's a pretty silly Magic card. But, like, both versions are fine. So there's not a lot of new faces in the chat tonight. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, which is an exclusively Legacy, Death, and Taxes based site. You know, you're here on my stream. I hope you're enjoying it. If you enjoy it, go ahead and follow. You know, the more follows I get, the more content I'm going to produce. Every 50 followers, I go and I throw out a bonus stream, other than my regularly scheduled times, which are on Monday and Wednesday evenings at about 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So the last time I played this opponent, they were on D&T, but then I see a recent result where they're playing Delver. When's that result from? Just a couple days ago, they played the Legacy Challenge with Grixis Delver. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed the site. Yeah, that's me. I'm Phil Gallagher. I'm going to keep this hand. If my opponent is on Delver or if my opponent's on D&T, like, both these Flicker Wisps are going to be really hot if this Vial resolves. What's your experience with Thalia decks in Vintage? Thalia is great in Vintage, except that they keep restricting all of the cards that make the Thalia decks good. Losing, like, Thorn was really, really rough, for example. So, like, I've played a decent amount of Vintage Shops, White Eldrazi, Hate Bearers, 3 to 5 color humans decks, and, like, I try to make those archetypes work, but I'm not necessarily convinced that any of them other than Shops are actually viable. Let's see. My first, like, actual deck that I bought was, like, I think it was a Dark Steel Precon deck, that had a bunch of, like, sweet black creatures. Like a vampire bat that you could go and, like, pay some life to pump it. And then I bought Vampire Nighthawks for that deck, and I felt invincible. Like, it had a bunch of stuff like Chittering Rats, black, black, 1, 2, 2. When it enters the battlefield, you take a card from your opponent's hand and put it on top of their library. So I started with the whole, like, annoying taxation type effects really early on in my Magic career. So for anyone who is like not familiar with my Magic history, I actually started playing in with Scars of Mirrodin. I don't know why I cast that Thalia. That was really bad. That was really bad to cast that Thalia. That was really brilliant to cast that Thalia, playing around my opponent's Caracas that I knew that they had in hand by not Ether Vialing it in. I'm going to go ahead and cast this Stoneforge while my opponent still has this Caracas up. Or, like, if my opponent wants to respond to this with a spell, they have to tap mana in order to do so. Moxall, one of my early decks, also involved Dark Ritual into Hypnotic Spectre. I figured that one out on my own. Bosk, that sounds wonderful. So when I first started playing, I bought a giant lot of cards from Battlezone Games out in Iowa of, I don't know, it was probably like 50,000 like common uncommons and just like trash rares. And like I just started building decks with them. Oh, I like that draw. Yeah, Moxall, it was literally the back seat of my car filled with unexpectedly absent targeting the Ether Vial. Just putting it on top of my library. Nah, I'll bite on that. I don't want my opponent countering that on the way back down. And I'm going to go ahead and just play patiently and, like, plan on putting in this Batterskull. I'm not in any hurry here. Like, I don't need to, like, bash in right now with Jitte counters or anything like that. My opponent is under the gun. My stuff is probably uncounterable. Oh wow, my opponent has Click. So I know my opponent has Counterspell on top of their library. So I can safely play out Vial number 2. And Click is not something that is traditionally in the main deck of Miracles right now, so it's not something I need to be playing around in Game 1 scenarios most of the time. Yeah, I've offloaded a lot of Magic cards. My kid neighbor ended up with most of the bulk. I wish I knew about Magic earlier. Feels bad, man. Yeah, I'd be a much better Magic player if I started early instead of throwing away a lot of my time on like terrible card games like the Naruto card game. Still don't really know how that game was supposed to work. Yeah, there are a lot of I wish I had moments associated with Magic. That's unfortunate. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a particularly good card game, in my opinion. I did not find great enjoyment out of it. I played a little bit, but it did not have any staying power for me. I didn't find that most of the games were particularly interesting. Although, like, I never got beyond, like, kitchen table levels of Yu-Gi-Oh! For what that's worth. Since my opponent has so much mana, me, like, putting in this Thalia now probably has minimal impact, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and save it for my opponent's end step. Yeah, my roommate got into the... I should say one of my roommates got into those Dragon Ball Z card games. It just seems like a mistake on basically every level. Like, each one of those... Alright, we're not beating that. Okay, well maybe. We have double Swords to Plowshares, so they get 4 Angels. I can Swords 2. Or no, they get 3 Angels. That might be beatable. Alright. Okay, my opponent had a Portent there, which is unfortunate. So, if I attack in with Thalia, I can make Thalia up to 6 on first strike. So I can beat an Angel on first strike. Sword's a second Angel, but then there's still a third Angel there. So, like, I guess I can deal 6 damage, shrink 2. So if my opponent doesn't have a 1-drop on the top of their deck, then I'll get there. We'll lead on the Aether Vial. Alright, my opponent has a Brainstorm on the top of their deck. Which is unfortunate, because if they draw and I try to draw step Swords, then they can just Brainstorm another 1-drop on top, and that doesn't really work for me. It's... ugh. I probably need to just, like, hold here. Because, like, just trading for 2 Angels and leaving them with Angel Jace to my empty board is not good enough. I just confirmed that I have 2 Jitte counters. I do have 2 Jitte counters. Yeah, I just have to hold. Okay. And I don't want to fire this off in response because then they can brainstorm and then use the portent to shuffle. Oh, they shuffled anyway. Okay. Alright, they're just coming in at me. I'm not entirely sure what that means. It might mean that they just have like a removal spell for this Thalia, in which case we're pretty much stone cold dead. So maybe I should fire off this swords, make them brainstorm in response, and then... No. I'll fire it off. My position does not get much better here by waiting. Okay, they went for a blind flip rather than brainstorming. Okay, yeah, they swords the Thalia. Do they just have actual factual counterspell? They do. On a limited number of turns to make this game count. I'm not going to wasteland my opponent because if I draw a Batter Skull, I want to be able to hard cast it. And that one land probably doesn't matter at this point. I really think my opponent should Fate Seal me here. Like, absolutely Fate Seal me, because if they Fate Seal me, I am just dead in 2 hits. Like, they hit me for 12 this turn, they can hit for 12 the following turn. Okay, alright, that makes sense then. Alright. Let me update the spreadsheet here. So that's Miracles. We are on the play. And we lost. We'll be on the play for game 2. Alright, so P and K in, Relic Warder in, Cataclysms in, Recruiters in, Canonist in the maybe pile. So I didn't see Mentors, and like my opponent had like Click and Unexpectedly absent, so I don't know like for sure that they're gonna have Mentors. So I'll probably just like board all of those out, board the Magus out, board a Canonist in, and run it like this. This hand is fine. I'm going to need some more lands to do sweet things, but the game will go long enough where I will probably draw set lands. And we'll start by fetching some basics to play around back to basics to the best of our ability, but no guarantees that that's going to happen. Force pitch back to basics. I accept, although I hope that means they don't have a second back to basics, because that would be rough. Since my opponent forced the Mom, I expect that they have a swords. Good news is I have a wasteland for Caracas. The bad news is I don't have a follow-up land. The worst news is I drew a second Thalia after not having a follow-up land. I have probably lost this game already. Assuming my opponent does have, like, that other back to basics in hand, I probably just can't beat them. It sucks that my opponent's hand is weak to wasteland and I can't capitalize on it. Yeah, this card is just going to pummel me into oblivion. I wouldn't be surprised just to, like, see a bounce for tempo reasons here. I have to play around click, so I can't do this now. I'll just get murdered by an unexpectedly absent or disenchant or something of that nature if my opponent has it. I will probably scoop up this game pretty quickly. My opponent is really far ahead. I'm missing land drops. 2 of my cards are invalidated by the Caracas in their hand. And back to basics for 1 of my 2 lands. I'm going to think for a moment to, like, is there any way I possibly win this game? And I think the answer is just no. Like, if I draw Relic Order, I can Relic Order back to basics. My opponent bounces the Relic Order with Jace, and then I can't cast the Relic Order again. If I draw Revoker for Jace, my opponent will have had a billion turns of brainstorming. So I guess I'm not dead yet. I guess I'm going to play towards, like, casting a Cataclysm. If I Cataclysm, get rid of the Jace on a bunch of my opponent's land, and they somehow don't have a force or a counterspell, then, like, maybe I get there. Alright, my opponent has gone to Portent me, and they did not shuffle, so my fate is sealed for the next couple of turns. This is the point where I am okay conceding. I am not going to beat that. So, game 2, brick on land, opponent chases in opening. Alright. So we 5-0'd last night, and then followed by a 3-2, and then every once in a while you have to have leagues like this where you just get absolutely crushed. We would have beat the first round Miracles opponent if they didn't have Energy Flux in their deck. We would have beat the second round opponent if they didn't have, like, super perfects at the end there. And, like, this Miracles opponent, we weren't just beating. Like, the draws did not line up well for me. You know, so be it. Tomorrow we'll have some fun. We'll play this awesome singleton deck, and I hope you all will come by for that. Again, that's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern time. I'm looking forward to it. This is, you know, the reward for you all being such great followers and whatnot. And if you enjoyed this content tonight, even though I got my face pummeled in, please feel free to go ahead and follow. And I got a new subscriber tonight, Egget, so thank you very much for that again. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off here tonight. I kind of got pummeled today, and I don't really feel like finishing out this league or starting up another since I'm going to stream again tomorrow night. So thank you all for joining. I've got some great things planned for Thraben University in the not-too-distant future, so I'm going to go ahead and call it here, and I'll talk to you more about those plans a bit later. All right, good night, folks.